On. Okay, welcome back to the meeting, and firstly I'll put in Councillor Kirk's apologies. Her little one is not behaving as per the Book of Raising Children. Does that require a remover and a seconder?
The baby isn't behaving.
Well, it's not behaving as per the Book of Childhood, so I guess that's what it means. Right, so we're now going to move to the to agenda item number 9, which is Taupo District performance report. Mr. Manhennet or Mr.
Yeah, I'll handle it in Ms. McLeod's absence.
Okay, so sorry, you got a handout that goes with it?
No,
That's right, on the other side here. Okay, remembering this is finishing December 2011, 2 or 3 months ago.
So we'll, through the chair, if you'd like, we'll do page 9/1 and 9/2 first, and then talk about the financials.
And then we can go to the handout, eh?
Yes.
Okay, so if we turn over just straight onto page 9/1, and I would ask councillors if they have any comments or questions they'd like to ask about it. Particularly the big Taupo water treatment reticulation upgrade we're doing at the moment. I'm presuming, but would like council to tell me that on budget, on time, everything going well.
It's going well. That one of the issues is that when they put the coating on the wall down here, they put in what they call concrete screws, which they drill a hole 12 metres into the rock and put a tube in and then fill it up with concrete. And there's a number of those, and that's to stop the movement of an earthquake affecting the plant, that it can move a metre vertically or 4 metres horizontally in an earthquake, and it will still stay fixed. None of us will be around, but that will be.
The water generation will have clean water.
Yeah. And
Soul survivor.
in putting that wall up and putting in the concrete screws, they came across about 20 or 30 timos. So it's meant that it's taken a little bit longer, but.
Which is underneath the road, State Highway 1.
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if this is the right format to bring it up, but I'll bring it up here because I'm the chair. I guess I can. Considering that we're going to have this big building out here, which is our water treatment plant, is staff coming to us soon with, can we start workshopping what we're going to do on top of this building? Are we going to have a nice coffee lounge or some binoculars you look down the lake with coins in and parking and people under umbrellas? What's the sort of program for us as governance with you as management, sir?
For a workshop fairly soon.
We'd sort of like to start it and get ideas around, because I'd like to see it all, when it's finished, happen at the same time, not hodgepodge later and what have you, but it's a great opportunity to have something there right on our lakefront. Okay, anything further on that page? 9/1. AC bars refurbishment. Nothing. Service centre, Ordnance Road.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, just with that
Yep.
AC bars refurbishment, when the final detailed plan gets done in May, will we get to look at that? Will it be coming back to council?
Yes.
We have to sign it off, wouldn't we?
It'll be a tender as well.
But we see it
You
before
sign
it
off
goes to
before it
tender.
goes out to tender. Yes.
Before it goes to tender, and then when the tenders are in. So 2 processes. Okay. Turning the page, please. ETA enhancements. Oh, sorry, Councillor Hickman.
Eric, well, it's about the ETA announcements. During the previous council, we set aside, I think it was 750,000 for wayfinding. At that particular time, we was looking at sculptures in different areas at the side of the ETA. I know that we had a report and we didn't like it and we sent it back, but there's not been any follow-up. I know we've put the clips all through the town, and that was coming out of that money as well. But I just wondered whether we were going to do anything, even at the
I hope so, because I still get
Wairaki end and the airport end, at least, to make a bit of a
I
statement.
get a lot of comments from people about, can't we do something better, Mr. Mayor, with the signage on the entry to town? Go to some towns, and even down the south, even small towns, have got big trouts and all sorts of things at their entrance to the town. And people keep saying to me, couldn't we have something better here, Mr. Mayor? So I think that's a fair question, and I'll leave your question. Mr. Green will surely be rejoining the meeting. No, but I will bring it back up when he comes back in the room, eh?
Just to follow up.
Yeah, I'll bring it back up when he comes back in the room. Councillor Williams?
Okay.
Another question regarding the ETA. It's more maintenance than enhancements. The cycleway adjacent to the ETA, I rode along there last week, and it's quite a serious weed problem developing in certain places. Who's responsible for maintaining that cycle track?
NZTA.
The cyclists as they cycle along.
Well, the trouble is there's very few of them, Mr. Menhennet, on that using that track.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's a bit of a use it and lose it. If people aren't going to use it, they're going to lose it. That's for sure.
Exactly.
Well, sorry, Your Worship, I think the maintenance is a problem along the ETA.
Oh, ETA, I'd say.
The islands at Wairaki and all that.
The bridge has got weeds pouring out of it.
Nothing's been done to them at all.
I've actually seen it myself, and I think I mentioned it to you, Mr. CEO. I said it's bloody disgraceful at the moment. I'm not talking about growing native trees or anything, but they won't even mow the grass. There's weeds shooting out of the bridge. It looks terrible. Perhaps a letter to NZTA and...
There was a meeting held on Monday between NZTA, Fulton Hogan and ourselves just to get things on the right track going forward. So there are some maintenance. Yes, it's work in progress.
Okay, good. Because it is. It doesn't look nice at all. Which is a shame, because that was a really, if you call a bridge pretty, it was a really pretty bridge, but none of that pretty was weeds hanging out of it everywhere. Okay, so now we'll move, please, team members, to the handout. Financial highlights, remembering ending 31st December 2011. You've got your actuals, what was budgeted and what your actuals are. So starting on page 1, which is the financial highlights. This is the handout here. Have you got this one?
Excuse me. Yes, I have, Your Worship.
Cool. So if page 1 is all honky-dory, we'll move over to page 2 and the income statement. Councillor Williams?
Yes, can I just ask a question of our CFO? Asking him please to explain the adjusted, the budget comparison taking into account the adjusted annual. It just makes it quite difficult for us to see, where the savings are from rationalisation. And I understand there's different impacts on different lines of expenditure, but it's still just be interested to know why it's been done like that, and make the point that it is quite hard then for us to see some of the savings that have been made.
The savings that eventuated from the restructure were built into the annual plan. So the budget numbers allow for the restructuring and the subsequent savings. So in that regards, the actual expenses directly relate to the budget. The only difference is that some of the budgets have had to be spread evenly over the year instead of being phased, because when we did the restructure, we then had to restructure the whole budget. So there
What you're saying is the budget was taken into account the new staffing levels from the previous time.
The staffing, the centralisation of premises, everything else of that regards.
So I think the question that's coming from Councillor Williams, what is the saving?
The savings have been built into the budget. What you're comparing is the actual that has occurred against the budget. The only difference can be some aspects of timing, where some budget lines we've had to divide by 12 as we've redone the budget versus properly phasing over the whole year. So for example, at the moment we're showing that in the current year for employee expenses and the budgeted employee expenses for the year of 18.3 million, you can see that we are comparing 50% of that, and that's why I'm saying some budget lines, based on the fact that we did the original budget under the old structure and then redid the financials flowing on the new structure, we've had to divide some of those lines by 12 per month, remembering that it was from the 4th of April of this year that the new structure came in and the plans were already in place. So what we've had to do is say, okay, if you look at the employee expenses, it's 18.3 million for the year, which is 9.150 for the half year. We are showing a positive variance against that budget. But that's probably more of a timing issue. By the end of the year, we'll probably be in line with budget. And that's where I've referred to in a number of these variance lines that there are timing issues, but the budget itself is related to the new structure.
Would it be simpler if the question was put, the budget this year for employee expenses, which I think Councillor Williams was trying to say, is 18.3, yes?
Correct.
And we're on budget, yes?
We're ahead of budget.
Slightly, but it could be a timing issue.
Yeah, it could be a timing issue.
Okay. What was the budget last year for employee expenses?
I don't have that information in front of me.
Had we continued the way we were going, we would have been looking at somewhere like 21 or 22 million.
So we're getting somewhere now where what we're saying is that there's somewhere around about a $3 or $4 million saving. This is what I think. Is this what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Because I'm getting it out slowly. So we're getting about a $3 million saving.
If you want to look at it in those terms.
Well, I guess
yes,
that's what
but,
you're asking, is it?
Yeah, but I understood it was
There's pluses and minuses across
8
the board.
million.
However, this budget that was prepared for the new structure. So
Yes.
there are no savings in this budget because they were already accounted
Because it was
for.
budgeted for. But what I'm trying to compare it with to help Councillor Williams here is last year's budget.
Yeah.
That's
It may be worthwhile helping Councillor Williams in terms of having a look at last year's budget and comparing some of those figures. Although it would be very difficult to compare, but something like salary costs should be fairly straightforward to compare.
So if Councillor Williams gets last year's financial update from 2010 when she was elected in October, so there would have been one in December, wouldn't it, or January, those answers will be there. You can go line by line on your budgets.
Yeah, but as there will be some variances because some of those figures will be in other budgets, won't they? There's savings. So I won't be able to compare line by line as what
No, in terms of, I would say in terms of employee expenses, they're pulled in that area. So, but it's where you get to other expenses or.
But the question was on the
interest and
employee
depreciation,
expenses, yeah.
At a high level, you should be able to compare.
Through the chair, that's not necessarily comparing apples and apples either, because the level of capitalisation of labour last year was far greater than the level of capitalisation of labour this year, because we were doing far more capital works. So we've had to expense more salaries this year than we expensed last year. There's capitalisation. So comparing year with year is not necessarily apples and apples. Yeah, it's only a guide. Key thing is that is the budget that we signed off on for this year, and this is where we sit against that budget.
Okay.
I'm still finding it very difficult that all variances. I thought we agreed that they would be 5% or less than 100,000 or still 50,000. Mr. Manhattan, it would be helpful if any line item with a variance over that would have a note attached to it, please?
You move to.
It does.
No, it doesn't.
Variance plus or minus 10% and has A to
No.
K.
No.
One page,
Next page.
Here's an item, losses on disposable assets, 237,000. There's no, yeah, I know that, but there's no, that one there's over 100,000. Yeah, but that doesn't have one. Look. Yeah, I know.
And over the top of the next page.
Not H. Doesn't have anything attached to that. No, there's 237. Under, just as an example, under other expenses include, here's an item of $237,000 loss, but it doesn't have a reference line to it, so it's not explained. But there's a number in there of that nature.
I've covered that. It was 21 million last year, it's 18 million this year. It's around about a $3 million saving. I'm not here to count the cents. So where are we?
236,000, Your Worship, isn't the cents.
Should have
Talking
an
about
initial.
another issue
Oh,
over here.
beg your pardon.
Still talking about council employee expenses.
Oh, okay.
Mr.
Oh,
Williams was
okay.
just informing me, going back to your previous question, that in his memory is around about a $3 million saving in employee expenses. He's just asked the staff to bring it up from last year's budget. So I'm saying, well, that's good. Thank you, Mr. Williams. I'm not really worried about the cents on the end of it. Now, go back to where you were, please, with Mr. Van Hennett.
Okay. There should be the letter E against that, losses on disposal of assets, and if you look at the E in that second, after number 3, you'll see it's related to the loss on sale of 66 Norman Smith Street and the old dog pound.
Oh, yeah.
That is
Well, that brings
actuals against budget.
So it's just a typo. It's
Yeah,
been
so it should be
left
the letter E against
off.
the.
Oh, yeah, well, there was a few there, so thank you. That's
Okay, well, that brings me on to a question. So we've sold the dog pound, have we? Have I never signed any sale and purchase agreement? Huh?
I thought it was still for sale.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Still for sale, but that's the
you're-
the write down. Yeah.
Okay, it's not sold yet though.
No.
No, but it says here,
Yeah.
loss on
So-
disposal of properties. I
Yeah.
know we sold Norman Smith Street, but I didn't know we'd sold the dog pound. But that's cool. We have. Right. Anything further?
Yeah.
I know that. I realise it's for sale. Look, hear ye. We have a dog pound for sale. Anybody watching? Webcam's on, stuff. Just trying to promote our assets for the general well-being of the district. Right, do we have anything extra, please? So I'll move on to page 2, where it talks about variances greater than minus or plus 10%, or $30,000. Anything more on that page? Moving over to the next page, where we clarified that we haven't sold our dog pound yet, but will. And moving on to capital expenditure update to 31st December, please remember, December 2011. You want to speak to this still, Mr. Van Hennett, or just take it page by page?
Happy to answer questions.
Okay. And Councillor Williams,
just getting back to. I know there's a.
which page are you on now?
I'm on the notes to this revenue from significant activities, note 1A. And of those, the total variance is 1.322 million, and of that is 880,000. And I'd just like to ask Mr. Van Hennett. I understand this is these figures even out as the year progresses, as you've explained to us. But it must be a cash flow nightmare. Is there any way of getting NZTA to pay in smaller tranches?
They only pay relative to what we've spent on a pre-arranged agreement. This is as much an accounting entry as anything else. If I give you the example of the ETA, we spent the money creating a capital asset. Their subsidy came into us as revenue, and this is how this is actually working as well. As we spend money creating a capital asset in roading, their subsidy comes in, but for accounting treatment we've got to bring it in as revenue.
So where do I find the contra to that if I'm looking at for that 880? How do I know that.
If
Under
you
the
look
riding
at
budget, no doubt.
down in the, for example, in the capital expenditure update, there are areas there under transportation, for example, where we're currently 345,000 behind budget as far as the capital expenditure is concerned. That will be one of the elements that flows into that 880. There will be areas of maintenance and renewals in the transportation area that will also be impacting upon that. And the other factor is that subsidy budget has been evenly spread through the year, where a lot of the work actually occurs through January, February, March. So we would expect over the next 2 or 3 months for that deficit to diminish quite dramatically.
So 345 is a total under transport, and where did you say the rest?
There'll be elements within the maintenance expenditure and some of the other particular expense lines. As I explained, there are aspects of timing issues because, as I say, it's been evenly spread over 12 months, where a lot of the activities in those sort of areas occur January, February, March in the aspect of summer, so you'll get a boost in the actual expenditure, and I would expect to see that variance diminish. What I'm having the team do at the moment is revisit to see whether we can adjust the phasing a bit more to sort of match what's actually happening.
Councillor Hickling?
Yes, Your Worship. I see on page 1 we've got wayfinding, and also on page 3 or 4 we've also got wayfinding there. I just wonder whether it's an appropriate time to ask Gareth a question about.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
The sculptures on.
Is that finished? That other
Sorry?
issue? Yeah.
Okay.
So sculptures on the ETA?
Is that other one finished? Yeah. Councillor Hickling brought up before that there was allowed 770 or something for wayfinding, and the issues come up about these entrances to town again.
Sure.
So the two, basically.
Absolutely. So the 770 was for the clip and for those sculptures. Yep. We still have the money sitting there for the sculptures. As you'll remember, we bought us and the Sculpture Trust brought back to council some ideas for 3 of those entranceways. It was Wairakei, the airport, and Centennial, I think. Broadlands it was.
It was almost, I think it was 5, 6.
5, and then it went down to 3.
No, it was Napier.
Napier was, yeah, Napier Taupo was.
Napier's out
Napier Taupo.
the 3 big ones.
So it went from 5, then we went to 3.
Yes,
essentially, the council at that stage said that the sculptures that were suggested didn't recognise the local area. Go and consult. We've been trying to do that, and we've been doing that for the last couple of probably 18 months. It's been incredibly frustrating, I will say, in terms of the speed of that project. I've told the team that money must be committed by the end of this financial year, e.g. end of June. Otherwise, we will be bringing back to you some more bits off a shelf, because if it proves to be that we can't get anything else due to cost or difficulties, then we'll bring you back the options and you can make the decision.
So what actually happened, I don't know if Barry was at the meeting, but what actually happened about this big bicycle thing?
Well, I think
That's Poihepi, isn't it?
That's
Huh?
Poihepi.
That's Poihepi. That's going ahead.
Yes, it's been approved.
Checking today, I think.
Okay, cool. I just jogged my memory. So it's paid for, work in progress. That'll be up very soon.
Yeah, top of Control Gate Hill.
Poihepi
is one.
turn off, yeah.
Yeah, Poihepi turn off. And the other one, we're negotiating with Turangi to get some contribution from those, aren't we, Gary?
Okay,
Yes.
they're separate again to the 3 main entrances, which we have money budgeted for, but we're still struggling in the consultation process to find what everybody's happy with. Okay, but it's still happening.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
So Gareth, just did the way for the clips? Because I'm just looking on this page, it refers to 392. Did the clips? Was that the amount of money spent on the clip? Because that would only leave us probably about 200,000.
Yes, correct. So that was clip and the work that
Yeah.
and the work that had been done to date on the gateway sculptures, and some other elements such as the flag poles that we did, things like that.
So hang on, that leaves close on 400.
Well,
How much does that figure? That's
oh,
392.
it's nearly 400,000.
We had 775.
Probably about 300,000.
About
left.
300,000 each, which is we were budgeting about
100,000
per entrance.
Yeah, okay. Yep, that's right.
The difficulty, and you saw today what you can get for,
that
that sort of money, but the difficulty is when you're getting something custom made, the price obviously goes up.
Councillor Downer?
And just
Oh,
while
sorry,
we,
no, one
just
minute.
while we're on that same line, I see we've got the laneways and we've only spent 13. Are we still on track with doing something down on the laneways?
Yes.
That's that roof we're talking about from Starlight to the back of
The roof.
Suncourt.
Yes,
Is that-
absolutely. We'll be bringing something to you hopefully at the next council meeting to show you the proposed designs and get you to sign off on that.
Yeah, thank you.
And Councillor Downer?
Yeah, I just wanted to Gareth, how many are all the clips finished, and how many have we ended up with?
They are all finished unless we end up with some more money at the end. So what we'll do is post the sculptures. If there's some money left, we might put one or two more in. The exact number, 14 sculptures, 14 clips.
So, working last night, and the one down by Riverside Park, I mean, I reckon they're fantastic.
Here.
They
Nice
stand
down there,
out,
isn't it?
they add a little bit of colour to our community and vibrancy, in a dark area like that just stands out brilliantly.
They're absolutely brilliant. I'd just make one comment that whoever built them didn't follow the plan properly because you can't read all the words.
The wording is a little bit
The
small.
words snuck in behind the actual
There's-
clip itself, so they obviously didn't.
There's a
But
few.
hey, they're great. I see tourists reading them every day and all the history about things. It's great.
There's a few teething problems. The big thing on that one, and you're right. Some of the words are behind the
Hidden behind the clip
the
itself.
clip. But you'll remember that those boards are transferable. We can take them in and out very easily. So in time, we will change them and make that a little bit better.
They're fantastic. They are. I really agree. I agree with Councillor Downer. I'm sure fellow councillors agree. Regardless of what some letter writers might say, I think they're fantastic. They're innovative, and they really set the scene.
Yeah, they look good at night time.
Being lit up is just great too. It's just sort of. Yeah. Okay, where were we? Sorry.
Sorry,
Councillor Williams.
Just